Happy Friday, beautiful souls, and welcome to Spiritually Her. This is your safe space to explore the magic of inner work, grow your confidence, and embrace your self worth as the ultimate superpower. I'm Terrika-Surrenity, your host and guide on this transformative journey. Here, we're breaking barriers, we're rewriting our stories, and stepping fully into that girl energy together. So grab your favorite drink, let's settle in, and let's vibe. Your next level starts right now. All right. So, hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Spiritually Her podcast. I am your host, Terrika-Surrenity. And, guys, I'm so excited for season two, where we have amazing, influential, powerful guests that are going to be on this season of Spiritually Her. So, guys, I hope you guys are having a happy Friday and get ready for this episode because it's going to be amazing. All right, guys. So, today's episode is one that I already know is going to touch your soul in the most beautiful way. I am joined by the incredible Randi Latzman, an influential mother, mental health author, and the heart and voice behind the Surviving Mom blog. Randi turned her personal pain and generational trauma into purpose, offering a safe space for moms navigating the emotional layers of motherhood and healing. Since launching her blog in the summer of 2020, Randi's words have not only comforted but empowered mothers around the world. Her blog evolved into deeply personal poetry, honest, raw, and full of the kind of wisdom that only comes from walking through the fire and choosing love on the other side. She's been featured on Today Parents, Her View from Home, The Mighty, MSN, and Love What Matters. And most recently, she's released her debut poetry book, From the Heart of a Mother, a love letter to every woman trying to raise her children while still raising herself. So, whether you're a mama, a cycle breaker, or just simply someone who is just learning to love and nurture yourself through your own wounds, this conversation is for you. So, welcome to the Spiritually Her podcast, Randi. I am so honored to have you here.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. It
Oh,
brought tears to my eyes.
oh my
It was
goodness.
beautiful.
Listen, I wanted to give you your flowers because you have been doing amazing work. And to be able to alchemize the story that you have and just be able to help others, especially other women and mothers that are raising our next generation. And I feel like that's very powerful and it's not an easy job.
Oh, it is the hardest. It is the hardest job, most rewarding job, but it is the hardest job in the world. It takes courage, it takes a lot of healing, a lot of inner work. And I always say that your children will shine a light on the parts of you that need healing the most. And
Mm.
so, yes, it takes a lot of inner work. It does.
That is very powerful that you said that because I always told myself that I feel like because I have three children, I feel like with each child, they came with a distinct purpose that helped me in the time frame that they came and just even their personalities were just so different and it helped me in a way. So it's like they're my gifts.
Yes, yes, yes. I always say that we're supposed to be their greatest teachers, but they are truly our greatest teachers. They really, really are. And we were chosen to be their mothers for a reason. I deeply believe that. And so, yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of inner work, a lot of inner healing, but nothing healed me like when I had my daughter. That was the most transformative powerful experience of my life because it really showed me the areas of myself that I needed to work on, the areas I needed to heal. And there's no more powerful transformation and motivation than wanting to be the best version of yourself for your children. And so,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, for those who may not be familiar with you and your story, do you mind giving us like some background on your childhood and your upbringing?
Of course. So I was raised in a fairly dysfunctional home. I'm a child abuse survivor at the hands of my own mother. And so I grew up just with a lot of loneliness, a lot of confusion, and I turned to poetry at a very, very young age to cope with the confusion I was going through and as an outlet. And so from a young age, I've journaled, I've written poetry. I believe in the power of writing. I believe that it can really heal you and it gives you a voice. And so as I got older, and then when I had my own daughter during the pandemic in particular, I wanted to come up with a way to help other people that might be lonely from quarantining and not having someone to talk to, because I know what that feels like to be going through horrors and not have someone to talk to about it. So I reached out to different child abuse support groups and CPTSD, different foundations, and started sharing my story publicly. And that naturally just evolved into writing a blog where I write about my own personal story, my background as a child, but also my love as a mother, my mental health journey, all those things. And it eventually evolved into Facebook, where I started writing my poems. And I have a wonderful community over there at Surviving Mom Blog with Randi Latzman. And I just started writing those things. And what struck me the most was the number of mothers that reached out to me and said, I didn't know that you felt that way. I had no idea. I thought I was the only one who felt loneliness, who felt worried, who felt scared, who felt unsure. And I don't want anyone to feel alone in their struggles. And I think that's the power of poetry. It really allows you to feel seen in a way that other genres do not. And so it motivated me eventually to write my book From the Heart of a Mother. And yeah, it's something that I stand behind very firmly because I really think that we have, like we talked about, mothers have the hardest job in the world. We have the best job in the world, but it can be
Yes.
so lonely and it can be so it's humbling. We don't know if we're doing it right. And there's a lot of shame a lot of times. We feel shame to talk about our confusion. We feel shame to talk about our guilt. We feel shame to talk about the fact that we feel like we're failing when we get things wrong as mothers. And we don't talk about it and we carry those burdens alone. And poetry has that unique ability to tell you every single day, you're not alone. You matter just as you are because it speaks to your heart.
Mhm.
And I think that it is the best thing that every mother can have is a book of poems that speaks to you every day and whispers to you, you're not alone. And so that's why I started my Facebook group. That's why I started my blog. And I do want to mention that anyone who subscribes to my blog, they get a free poem because I want mo mothers everywhere to have a reminder that they're not alone. And I want it to be something that it's a simple poem. You tape it on your computer, you look at it every day, and it's just a little reminder that you matter and that what you're doing matters.
That is powerful. That is so powerful. When you stated that you were younger and you started to get into poetry because that was your way of really expressing your emotions or just trying to piece together your emotions, were there any I guess, influential people that were in your lives, either other authors or other poets that inspired that in you? Or was it just that something, that fire that was inside of you that started that to put your feelings from pen to paper?
I'm growing up, there were poets that I loved. I loved Robert Frost, The Path Not Taken, Sylvia Plath. There were poets that absolutely resonated with me, but poetry was just something that naturally came to me. There was something I needed an outlet. I needed a space to let out my feelings and to process them. And there were two things that I did in particular. One was writing poetry, and one was journaling. And those were the two things that really allowed me just a safe place. I would go in my room, I would close my door, I would take out my notebook, and I would just start writing. And I would write my feelings, I'd write my pain, I'd write my emotions. When I went into junior high, I went into this school that on the talents of creative writing, and it just even fostered my love of writing even more. I wrote all different types of things, but poetry was always my special place, my outlet, my place of healing. And so it's something that it's for a long time I associated it with letting out the negative emotions. And then as I got older and I had my daughter and I felt this love that I never felt before, I began writing poetry about beautiful things, about love, but also about the struggles of motherhood because they're both. Motherhood is truly filled with contradictions. It's a wonderful job, but it's also a great responsibility and it's the hardest job you'll ever do. And I think that we
Yes.
can hold both equally, and they both are equally true. And we can hold both contradictory emotions at the exact same time, and they have equal weight. And so I started writing about the dichotomy of motherhood and writing about those things. And so, yeah, it's always been my outlet. And I'll sit there sometimes and I'll say to my husband and my daughter, I need a minute. And the words will just pour out of me. Like it'll just come to me and I'll just start typing ferociously on the computer. And it's just my form of healing.
That is amazing. That is amazing. I might too, not I might too. I myself um love writing. I used to always have like journals when I was little. I would always like write music lyrics. They didn't really make sense when I was younger, but as I grew older and I started to take my own stories, my own pain, or even the happy moments and put them into something that was beautiful, something that could be felt by other people. And for me, I know sometimes I was a little nervous to let other people listen or hear what I had to say or write. So, was there ever a moment for you when it came down to you writing your poems or for your book or even your blog where maybe something was a little too personal that it was kind of just like hesitancy on releasing that and putting it out there into the world?
Yes, constantly. Constantly. You are not alone with that. The first time that I started, and particularly sharing my about my childhood, I was terrified to put it out there. I was terrified to share my story. And I was surprised by the feedback I received. It really, I think part of my own healing was hearing that it was helping other people, that I was putting a voice to their pain. And that gave me the courage to start a little bit at first writing my story on my blog because once it's out there, it's out there.
Yes.
And that was scary for me to put it all out there. But I firmly believe in the power of telling our story. And I think that it's something that if you keep it inside of you, it festers. I think we all have a story to be told. And I think that the more that we tell our stories, the less shame there is for ourselves and for other people. I think that it gives other people the courage to share their story when they know that they're not alone. And every single person, I believe, has a story. Even the people that seem like they have it all together, they have a story, they have something.
Yes.
And the more that we tell ours, the more that we're honest about ours, the less shame goes along with and the less stigma goes along with our pain. And so I started putting out my story, I put out my poems, and when I first put out my poems, I was just as terrified. Oh no, what if no one likes it? What if no one gets it? What if people ignore it? And like I said, the biggest feedback I received was, "You feel this way too? It's not just me. Like I thought I was the only one who felt like that." And that both made me feel wonderful to know that I was helping them, but also broke my heart to know that other people felt like that other people were carrying their pain and by themselves and carrying that burden. And so it just motivated me and fueled me to put it out even more. And yeah, there are some days that I'll write something in particular and I'll say, "Oh no, maybe this is too much." But I realize now that there's a purpose in sharing it. There's a reason to share it. And even if it
Yes.
only helps one person, that's one person more than I helped the day before. So I just keep going with it. I keep doing it.
Absolutely. It's this one thing that whenever I, meditate or whenever I feel scared or fearful on sharing my story, even through my podcast, I shared a story that I haven't even told my parents about something I had dealt with when I was a kid. That was very, um, it was very traumatizing to relive it. But the only thing that I kept getting when I was meditating on the episode, like is bigger than you.
Yeah.
It's bigger than you. The purpose, the reason why you go through these certain things in life, sometimes is to help other people. And although we feel singled out or just personalized with our own personal pain, to know that there are so many other people, women, children that are just going through the exact same things, if not worse, to know that I could be a voice to help those. I feel like that's powerful. And it takes someone very strong to be able to step out and be brave and tell their story and not let their story define who they are, and in a sense. So I find that to be very alchemizing.
Yeah. And good for you for sharing yours. Good. That's
Thank
wonderful
you.
that you did that. It really is.
Thank you. It was a lot. And sometimes you don't know how heavy it can be on you.
Yeah.
You don't know how heavy it can be on you until you start to share it and you feel lighter. So it's I can only imagine your feeling putting your work out there, seeing that it's healing while also healing yourself. So I do want to ask another question. So, do you believe that motherhood is a spiritual path?
Oh boy. Oh, yes, I do. I absolutely do. Um, it connects you to something bigger than yourself. It connects you. It's like I said, it's the most humbling job in the world. And I'm a very spiritual person to begin with. And having a child, when you hold that baby in your arms for the first time, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. You feel nothing like it. And having the unique privilege of raising that child and doing better for your child than what was done for you, it is the most spiritually awakening process of your life. There's nothing like it. There's truly nothing like it. And so if I wasn't spiritual before, which I was, I'm definitely now. Yes. Yeah,
Yes, I always say my children are like my hearts outside of my body.
they are. They
They
are.
definitely are. So, if you could tell us about From the Heart of a Mother, what inspired the shift from blogging to the poetry?
So I still write on my blog because I think that I want to have that sense of community. I want there to be a place where you can get different types of writing besides my poetry. I delve deeper into my mental health journey and my childhood on my blog. And I offer, like I said, my poem when you subscribe on my blog. But to write the book, I wanted something that women can hold in their hands, that they can turn to, that they can open up a page any day because we're so busy as moms. We don't have a
Yes.
lot of time for ourselves and we don't often prioritize ourselves. And I wanted something that if you have a quick 10 seconds, you can take the book, and I do it myself. I will literally take my book and say, okay, and I'll just open up a page and I'll just read it. And it's just my healing for the day. It's just my little ability to look at something and say, okay, I matter. I'm seen, I'm heard, I'm understood. And I think that's one of the reasons why I shifted to it. I wanted something that would inspire women, that would uplift women, and there's nothing like poetry to do that. I also got a lot of feedback from my followers on Facebook saying, "Hey, do you have a book?" And I said, oh, and it honestly never occurred to me that my love of poetry could be something I could do for a living, that I can write a book from it, that I can do that. And when I started having my followers reach out to me and say to me, we want your book, I said, okay, well, then I'm going to give you a book. And I ventured into the world of publishing, which is not easy for poets. Poetry is has a lot of negative connotations along with it. People think it's flowery, people think that it's difficult to read a lot of times. I wanted something that was easily relatable. And like you said, it's like songwriting. When you write poetry, it is your heart on a page. It really is. There's nothing that's going to speak to your heart like poetry. And I really think that mothers need poetry. They need something that speaks to their heart. Because we can have all the how-to books in the world, and we've probably read all the how-to books in the world about motherhood, but there is no one size fits all. And we need something that speaks to our heart. We need something that tells us every day, you matter, you're doing great. because we don't hear that enough. We really don't. And
No.
so this book does that. This book really tells you every day, I see you, you matter, you're doing great. Your good times, your bad times, when you're having a really hard day, it's there to cheer you on. It says, I understand. There's a whole section about the trials and tribulations. And when you're doing great, it applauds you and says, good for you. You did, I'm so proud of you. That's wonderful. It's a lifelong companion in a book. And I wanted something that didn't just speak to early childhood. I wanted to speak to the entire evolution of motherhood. So the first section is about early childhood. Then the middle section is all about the trials and tribulations. And then the third section is about school age children and beyond. So it's a book that really speaks to the highs, the lows, and no matter how old your child is, whether you're a new mom or grandma, there is everything within these pages will speak to your story. And I wanted something that would be a lifelong companion for a mother. And so that is one of the biggest reasons why I wrote that book.
That's very powerful because as you explain it, I know I always get to the point where I'm like, wow, it would be good to be a part of like a motherhood group where sometimes you don't feel overlooked or undervalued because everyone needs you, but sometimes don't always see the value in
Yeah.
you and what you do. So to have other mothers to just let you know, like, oh, I've been through that. You're fine. You're okay. I love you. Trust me, they love you. You're doing a great job. And I feel like for people who do not have that community, for one, your blog has that community, but
Yes.
like you said, having that tangible object, the book that is there to just give them that reminder of like, you know what, breathe. You're doing a great job. You're
Doing a
doing
great
better
job.
than you think you are. And I feel like a lot of mothers need that. And even if it's women out there who are not mothers, but they want to, I feel like your book definitely has something in there to let them know, like, you're going to be a great mother.
Yeah, yeah, because there's nothing, you can read all the how-to manuals in the world, like I said, nothing prepares you for it. And this just gives you a taste of it's a roller coaster. It's a journey of emotions. It's a lifelong journey. And reading it, I think you get a little taste of what motherhood is like, but more importantly, you know that you're going to be okay. Because I think that so many of us embark upon this, and there's just so much fear and uncertainty. And even when no matter how old your children are, you think you've got it all handled, you know it, you're like, I'm doing great, I know what's going on with my kid. And then the next day they go through something else, and there's a new stage, and there's a new phase, and there's a new obstacle, and all of the certainty goes out the window when you're starting all over again. I always tell my daughter, this is the first day of me parenting you at this age. So we're doing it together. This is your first day being this age. This is my first day parenting you at this age. So we're both figuring it out as we go along. And so there's no answers. There's no answers in parenting, but loving them and doing your best. And I think that that is really why I continue to write my blog. It's why I have my Facebook page. I really want mothers to feel like they're not alone. And so many of us do feel that way. And I don't want any mother to go through this journey feeling like they're doing it all by themselves and they don't have support. I want us to understand that no matter our backgrounds, no matter our differences, we're all joined by the love we have for our children, and that bonds us and that unites us, and we can go through it together. And that's really important to me that I don't want any mother to feel alone in their journey.
Absolutely. So when it came down to you having your first daughter before she made it here, were there any fears or maybe like some limiting beliefs you had about your capabilities of being a mother that you had to heal through?
Oh, yes. Growing up with a mother that didn't give me unconditional love, I was always afraid that what if I'm going to be like my mother? What if I'm going to turn into my mother? What if, because I mean, you learn from your parents, you learn what to do, you learn what not to do. And when you're not, when those love is not given to you as a child, then where are you learning it from? Like where are you getting that from? And so that was always a fear that I always wanted to be a mother. And I've heard this so many people have reached out to me and said, well, I was abused as a child, and so I was afraid to be a mom, or I didn't become a parent because I was afraid. And I always say that the first step is if you're aware that something was done to you, that's the biggest thing. Like right there, you stop the cycle by knowing that something was done to you that wasn't okay. It's the
Yes.
going along with it. It's the blindly going along with it and not seeing it. That's when the cycle continues. Awareness is the first step towards healing. And so from a young age, I knew that it was wrong. And I vowed to be the mother to my child that I didn't get. And as I mother her, I mother myself. As I teach her and I see the laughter and I see the love in her eyes and I see the joy in her eyes and I see her safety and I see that she knows that I love her unconditionally, then I know I'm doing the right thing. And I'm it's a little bit of my own inner child healing a little bit because I'm seeing that I'm doing that for her and I'm giving that to her. But I think all moms, regardless of their backgrounds, are afraid, oh no, what if I don't do this right? What if I mess up? Absolutely. I don't think there's a mom in the world that goes into it saying, oh yeah, I know this, I've got it down. I, we all have our insecurities. But yes,
Yes.
when you grow up in an abusive household, absolutely you were afraid of repeating it. And I just think that having a lot of awareness, taking the time to see what was done to me, which was a really hard pill to swallow, being willing to look at myself in the mirror, look at my childhood and analyze it and say, okay, these were the things that were done to me that were not okay, and to vow to not do those to my own daughter. I think that was the most transformative for me and what allowed me to stop the cycle.
That's amazing. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. So for any woman who is thinking about having a child and becoming a mother and you're nervous about that, you're going to be okay as long as you are aware of yourself and know that you have this unconditional love that is destined and is meant. And your child is going to love you regardless. But as long as you're on the path to become the better version of yourself, no matter what state, no matter your past or anything, you're going to be okay. And I think that's very important for women to hear. I remember um, my first son, I bought all of the books,
Yeah.
what to expect with baby, what to do in labor, what should you do? And all of that went out of the window.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It went out the window. And even with your next child, that experience is completely different from the
Totally
next
different.
one.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you're never really prepared. But I feel like we all have that, I don't know, that gene in us that we just roll with the punches and we figure it out.
That's
And
exactly right. Yeah.
yeah, and I tell my kids, like, look, I don't have it all together. So, but I know one thing with me and my upbringing with my mom was more so what I say goes, and this is the only way through life that you can do, or you could go. It was just like you go to school, you know, go to college, go this, get this, or don't share your expressions or your feelings or your thoughts. I don't
Mm.
care what you think. I said this. This is the only thing that it is. And I made a vow with my children to give them space to speak,
Mhm.
to express themselves and um, just I want to know how you're really feeling. I don't want to control your thoughts. I want to know how you truly feel because I think that's the process of knowing who you are. And I'm learning you just like you're learning me. And I want to give them the space to grow, like, and grow into who they feel they should be while also still guiding them, and helping them along the way, but give them the space to, okay, well, I think this is wrong. Like, choose for yourself, but stay within
Yeah.
within the grounds of things. So that's very powerful that, I know that there's different stages and, you know, ways of parenting and being a mother, but overall, just choosing differently based off our own personal experiences. I think that is great. So another thing that I want to ask you, so what does it actually mean to be a good mom, if that is a term?
I love that question. I hear that a lot. I get that asked a lot. And to me, good moms are two things: willingness to try and unconditional love. That's to me makes a good mom. We don't have it all right. We don't know all the answers. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to make tons of mistakes. And when we think we're not going to make mistakes, we then make more mistakes. We are flawed. We are human. It's par for the course. But our willingness to learn from them, to own up to them, to acknowledge them, to apologize to our children for our mistakes, show them that it's normal and healthy to make mistakes and grow from them, I think is what makes a good mom. That we're not stuck in our ways, that we see, okay, this is where we've messed up and this is how we can do better. And then just that unconditional love that our children know that no matter, they don't have to earn it, no matter what they say, no matter what they do, that our love is unwavering, our love is there for them. And I think that those two, if you combine them both, you put them together, that's what makes a good mom, not a perfect mom, a good mom, because none of us are perfect. And I think that that's such we feel like we have to do it all and be it all and we have to get it all right and we have to be perfect. And we set ourselves up for failure when we have that mentality because none of us are perfect. More so, if we think we're perfect, we're telling our kids that they have to be perfect and that they have to get
Yes.
it right. True. I grew up in a household where it was very much instilled in me. You have to be perfect. You have to be perfect. You have to be perfect. And I would get like a 91 on a test and I'd be hysterical because I didn't get 100. And I just grew up feeling like I had to do everything right. And I tell my daughter all the time, I don't care what your grades. I want you to try your best. I want you to try your best in everything you do. I want you to learn from your mistakes. I want you to be willing to acknowledge things. I want you to be willing to grow because that's what it's all about, learning, evolving, growing, admitting our flaws. And doesn't mean that we're not going to have flaws. We're always going to have flaws, but being willing to work on ourselves because we are always a work in progress. And that doesn't mean that I love you less. I love you no matter what you say or do. My love is always, always, always there. And so I think that we do those things and that makes us good moms. And those are the kind of moms that we should be proud of.
Yes. Yes. And it's good to hear we have like the same conversations with our children. I have one son. He has his own perfectionism that he has to have it. I'm like, well, you made a 95. I think you're doing very well. It's okay. And my oldest son, he'll be a senior this coming up school year, and he gets very anxious on just like the future and well, I have to do this and I have to do this. And I'm like, breathe,
Yeah.
because for one, you're doing way better than I did. Like, I was already a mom in high school. So, and just, I'm like, just breathe,
Yeah.
just chill and just do your best because I'm already proud of you.
Yeah.
I already love you. There's
Oh,
nothing that you can do
that's
that will
right.
make me not love you.
That's right.
So, and I feel, and with me having three boys, I feel like that is, I know you have a daughter, and I always
Yeah.
wanted a daughter. I never got one, but with my three boys, I feel like that is something that is great for him. Well, for all three of them as well, to know that they don't have to be perfect young men
Right.
growing up as well, especially with your daughter, because I do think more girls get pushed to be perfect
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
than anything. Like you have to look the part, you have to speak the part, and just be mannerable and not play with this. Oh, when you're playing outside, you have a dress on, so don't do this.
Right. Right. Right.
It's
Right.
always and I always have this moment where I hear my mom like in the back of my head when I'm doing stuff. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's a trigger or like a trauma response, or if I'm putting on
Oh,
something and I'm like, yeah, she's saying, girl, why are you wearing this? And so sometimes having to unlearn
yes.
those things too, unlearning those things. So do you still have moments at your age now, presently, where you are still unlearning some things or even certain things that you may have heard growing up?
Oh yeah, all the time. I hear my mom's voice. That's why I was laughing when you said that
Oh,
because I'll always hear my mom's voice in my head, and it eventually became my own inner voice because that's what happens. You hear your mom, you hear your parents tell you things enough, and then that becomes your own inner voice. That's the voice that tells you things, and so I'll have to constantly. I am my own worst critic, and I'll hear myself. I get imposter syndrome. You're not doing good enough. You're not a good enough mom. You're not a good enough this. You're not a good enough that. You're not a good enough writer. And I always have to challenge it and say, no, I'm doing the best I can. It is good enough because that is to me the biggest struggle is feeling like I'm not doing enough. Or like you said, I have to earn it. I have to do more to be loved. I have to earn love. And having to remind myself that that's not true, that that's not what I want to teach my daughter, and that I want to be the role model for her. I want to instill in her those values, and I can't instill those things in her unless I believe them myself. So I have to remember that I'm enough as I am. And just it's a daily struggle. Some days that inner voice is louder than others. But like we talked about, I think awareness is a really big part of it. Being aware of, okay, where is this coming from? Is this something I really believe? Is this something that's really true? And just challenging those false beliefs and being able to say to myself, no, that's not true, and working through them. And so I think, yeah, I think it's always a part of, I think all of us have that inner voice that rings in our ears and says things and whispers things that aren't true. I
Yes.
think it's about challenging it and saying, no, that's not true. And I'm more than that, and I don't need to listen to it.
Mm. That's another good point because my next question was with having that other voice, it almost seems like, you have like the little negative person here and the little angel on
Right,
this
right,
side.
right.
How do you determine or distinguish? Because I know sometimes I get questions where how do you know which voice is truly you and
Mhm.
not others' opinions or perceptions of how you should be or their viewpoints of who you are based off what you've heard? How do you distinguish your true voice?
It's a good question because I mean, like I said, I do think that eventually you hear things enough and then it becomes a part of you. I think it becomes ingrained in you. And so what was originally someone else's voice eventually becomes your voice saying those things. And but I think that anytime I hear that negative feedback, I hear not good enough, you're not doing well enough. For me, those are my trigger phrases. And so when I
Mhm.
hear that, I know that it's not me. It's a limited belief. It was something that was told to me from that I believed in myself from the time that I was a child. And I think that a good way for me to distinguish it is so ever since I was a child, not only did I write so when I'm feeling those things, when I'm overwhelmed by like wondering, second guessing myself, wondering if I'm good enough, I turn to my journal and I write my feelings out and I write my thoughts and I write what I'm struggling with. And that's usually my way of processing my feelings and allowing myself to figure out, well, is this really me or is this coming from somewhere else? And just by writing it and processing it, it allows me to heal and to come out the other side. And so, for anyone who's struggling with those things, I highly recommend journaling. I think it's a really great tool and a great outlet to process your feelings and to really gain some self-awareness and to figure out, well, where are those thoughts coming from? Where are those beliefs coming from? And I actually have a 30-day challenge that's coming out that is absolutely free, where every single day I'm going to be giving different prompts. And we're going to choose a focus word and we're going to come up with every day there's going to be questions having to do a lot with what we just talked about inner child and about those false beliefs and just allowing us as a group to work through them and to gain awareness and gain healing. I have a Facebook group that I'm going to be opening up. And if you want to join the challenge, all you need to do is just go onto my homepage. There's a journal challenge. Just click on it and sign up for it. And we're going to begin shortly. And I just wanted to do something as a group to work on that mental health aspect of motherhood because my poetry is great and everything, and I love the poetry, but I wanted to do something collectively as a group and work together on healing. And I think that there's nothing better than journaling. So,
Yes. And that would be great, guys, for those who are listening to get you started on that journey of journaling and really processing your thoughts. I think that is a great challenge for you guys to join. I myself would definitely be joining. I'm
I
starting
love
the
it.
process of journaling and starting back to writing, and you'll be surprised what you actually are feeling.
Yeah, the things that
Oh,
come up, the things that come up when you do it, it's just you start writing about one thing and next thing you know something else pops up and it's a great tool. It's something that I've used like when I said when I was a child, I had my notebooks for my poetry and I had my journals. I had both of them growing up, and I would rotate between the two of them. And I think that anything that could help us and heal us and help us to grow and help us to gain awareness, we should do. The more, the merrier. So I would love to have you on there. Absolutely. You're
Yes, I need to get back into it. And of course, community
welcome. Yes.
and just really help each other along the journey because I feel like you never stop healing. So it's a long going life process. So why not do it in ways that releases you from a lot of bondage or trauma, whatever that can help you be a better you and help you on that journey of life, motherhood, no matter whatever stage of life that you guys are in. I feel like this could be beneficial, especially for me. Now, Randy, okay, so I'm going to go in. I want to ask you, these are just some closing signature questions that I'm going to be asking the guests. And then we're going to go into just where everyone can find you, how can we support, and how can we get your book. But first, the first question is, if you could whisper one truth to your younger self, the version of you that was still hurting or still unsure, what would you say to her?
You are loved just as you are.
Whew, I could tell the poet in you already. That was powerful. All right. And our last signature closing question would be, what does being spiritually her mean to you?
Being spiritually heard. Oh. Ooh, that is a great question. I think it means having your soul loved, valued, appreciated, and held exactly as it is.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. And Randy, all right. So I am interested, and I'm sure everyone else is interested in knowing too, but out of your book, From the Heart of a Mother, what is the most, I guess, heartfelt poem or just a line or two that you feel comfortable sharing with the community that gives you chills?
Oh, ooh, that is a good one. So I always say that my poems are like my babies, and you can't pick a favorite because they're all my babies.
Yes.
But I will say um, that there were two things here that stood out to me that in particular. So there's one poem that my daughter is going to be turning 13 in August. And
Oh,
I am just, yes, I can't even wrap my mind around that. So I have a poem that's called A Stolen Heart. And I will try to get through it without crying. Um, there once was a baby who stole my heart. When she was placed in my arms, I felt the immediate need to protect her. I would stare at her, and the world stopped when she smiled. There once was a toddler who stole my heart. She would fall, and fear cascaded down my spine. She would run, while I prayed she'd forever run into my arms. There once was a young child who stole my heart. She found wonder and beauty in all that surrounded her, and every time she laughed, the sky sparkled and the sun shone a bit brighter. There once was a child who stole my heart. Her strong will was only surpassed by her sensitivity. She did things her own way, her own time, and I was consumed by equal parts frustration and awe. There once was a young lady who stole my heart. I saw reminders of every version of her that I had known and loved, while glimpses of who she'd become intensified. And when she laughed and smiled, light still peeked its way into every blackened corner. There once was a being ever growing who stole my heart. For when life was blown into her soul, my heart was placed there alongside it. So,
oh my
I
goodness.
got through that without crying.
Oh my goodness. That brought like my eyes are like welling because just hearing like the evolution, like it's this baby, then this toddler, then this young lady, and then this being is like she just grew into her own person.
Yeah,
Ah,
they were crying.
sorry. It is, uh, I don't want to tear up. It's like that's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
very beautiful. It's like having like a front row seat of
you. Yes.
their entire life and who they're growing into and just the stages of you guys' relationship together and just seeing them grow. I don't know. It's just I want to get emotional. Okay.
I
All
always
right.
say it's so bittersweet because we get to watch them grow and evolve and become their own unique, beautiful people, but at the same time, like they were once our little babies, and they don't get it that we can have both. And that's one of those things I talk about, that there can be these two contradicting emotions. We could love and cherish exactly who they are right now while missing who, the little versions of themselves that they once were. And we can feel them both at the same time, and they're equally powerful. And
Yes. And I tell people, I was like, being a mother is the most mm, strongest level of love because sometimes love requires to let go and let them be free. And sometimes when people think of love, they think of just possession of this is mine, but to love something is to nurture it, water it, and watch it expand and grow and become their own person. And it's just, I feel like that's very strong because not a lot of times, some mothers when their children get older, it's like, no, but you're still mine. But it's just having that love to allow them that space to blossom.
it's the most selfless love there is, because you
Yes.
have them, but you know that they were never yours to really have, that they were meant to be let free. And so it is the most selfless, unconditional love there is, because you raise them and then you let them go.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, they're like
I
our
know
little
we're saying.
flowers. They're like our little flowers. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Randy, if you could tell everybody um where they can find your blog, purchase your book, and also sign up for the journal
Yeah.
challenge.
So survivingmomblog.com is my website. If you want to go on and subscribe and get the I'm a Mom poem, the one I mentioned, I give this as an 8 by 10 and as a greeting card. And I recommend that you hang it on I'm going to put a little closer. I recommend you put it on your computer. It's just a little reminder every day of how special you are. So you go on to survivingmomblog.com/subscribe, and you get the poem for free. Just my little way of just a little something I wanted every mom to have. And then to get the journal, to do the journal challenge, you go on to survivingmomblog.com, and there's literally an area there where you click on it and you start doing the journal challenge. It's coming up very soon. So right now I'm putting together the group. And also, when you subscribe, I will be sending out newsletters and updates about it. So there's two different ways you can find out about the journal. And for the book, you can get this on Amazon. This is sold anywhere books are sold online. So you can go into Amazon and get it, From the Heart of a Mother. And you can also get it off of my website, where I'm doing personalized copies off of my website. So if you wanted it made out to someone that you love, you wanted to gift it to someone, I'm happy to write a little something in it and send it out to them with a little note from me to them. So plenty of different options.
That is awesome. That would be the perfect gift for a mother, birthday, baby showers,
Yeah.
anything. I'm sure any mother would be blessed to have it. And guys, I will also be putting all of this information down in the information box in the episode description so you guys can have easy access to it. Randy, I am so honored to be able to talk to you and get to know more about your story, your work that you're doing out into the world. And it is amazing to hear, witness, and hopefully be a part of, especially with the journaling needed.
Thank you. It was lovely speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And guys, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Spiritually Her. And I'll see you guys soon. Love you guys. I mean it. Bye.